Welcome goons and gals to today's video, where I will answer the question, is the all-new Honda Navi, well at least new to the United States, the ultimate plug-and-play motorcycle? And when I say plug, I'm not talking about an electric bike because it's not, but rather is the Honda Navi the ultimate gateway drug to motorcycle ownership that Honda hopes it becomes? So let's begin with the story, and stick with me here, I promise it's worth it. In 1998, Apple released the iMac personal computer. Now up to that point, Apple computers, along with the other computers that were being made, were just big, bulky, cumbersome, complicated items that only the most prestigious techie could understand. In fact, they were so complicated to use that CEO Steve Jobs said that if his own employees couldn't figure out how to use their products, then their customers couldn't use them either. I mean, how could they get anyone to buy a personal computer if it was intimidating? Or how could they sell any more future Apple products if they couldn't get anyone to buy the first ones? I mean, Apple even poked fun of this at one time in a television ad by saying that the letters PC meant perpetually complicated. However, Steve Jobs sees this as an opportunity for Apple. He thinks that if Apple can make affordable, non-complicated plug-and-play personal computers where any bozo techie wannabe could just plug it into the wall and start using it right away, it would make owning a personal computer fun but less intimidating. To top it off, if Apple could make this product look trendy, then owning a PC wouldn't be just for geeks anymore. It would become a cool item to own. Now, I know this whole concept sounds crazy now to the younger generations out there who grew up on personal computers. But back then, the general public wasn't that receptive to owning personal computers. I mean, it truly was a different time. So the basis for building that iMac computer was three things: affordability, ease of use, and fun factor. And it was that computer that changed the fortunes of Apple and turned them into the company that we know today. Remember that. So let's talk about what this has to do with motorcycles. There's no other motorcycle manufacturer that gets this concept more than Honda. Actually, Honda was doing this before Apple, and although they have many larger models available to sell right now, it was the small motorcycles that built Honda into the company that you know today. You see, in 1946, war-ravaged Japan was economically depressed and desperately in need of cheap, reliable transportation. This is when Honda stepped up to the plate and began to build small motorized scooters. They did this because it was cheap and easy to build and very easy to maintain. And this is when Honda produced its very first real motorcycle, known as the Model D, which was short for Model Dream. It was a small 98cc two-stroke motor that was stylish at the time and fun. The bike became so successful that Honda couldn't make them fast enough. Honda quickly realizes the attraction and the demand for cheap, reliable, sleek transportation, and in 1959 uses that very same formula to enter the American markets. You see, back then Americans were riding mostly 500cc and above cruisers like the Triumph Bonneville, Harley Sportster, Royal Enfield Super Meteor, and the like. So Honda begins to build a new motorcycle. They decided that three key features were necessary, and the new model needed to be unisex, practical for city commuters, fast and reliable. And thus the idea for the Super Cub was born, a 50cc four-stroke that sold for just $250. So the Super Cub was affordable, easy to use, and fun. Ring a bell? This formula was so successful to this day, the Honda Super Cub is the single best-selling motorcycle of all time, selling in excess of over 100 million units. Honda has actually sold more Super Cubs than some manufacturers have sold bikes throughout their entire history. And to this day, Honda has never strayed away from that small entry bike philosophy. Out of the 21 different Honda models available in 1971, 12 of those models were under 125 cc's. Even from the ad, Honda suggests from mighty to mini that Honda has it all. And 50 years later, Honda still offers 5 different versions of mini motorcycles. Because Honda knows that mini motos attract new riders, and new riders equal future sales. Small, cheap, dependable motorcycles are Honda's way to get their brand in front of virgin riders and hook them for life. Because many people, myself included, start out on a Honda mini bike, grow out of that bike, buy another Honda, and then end up owning several other Hondas before we die. Honda is the motorcycle world's version of get 'em on the comeback sale. Because if we ride long enough, we all cross paths with a Honda somewhere. And the Honda Navi takes this whole cheap, easy, dependable, fun concept one step further. Or should I say one step smaller? The Navi is a futuristic Tron-looking motorcycle that appears to be half the size of a Grom. And that's not a bad thing, because while most manufacturers are making small, boxy, old-looking scooters, Honda are making fun, easy-to-ride, trendy mini motos. Now, while Honda claims this is a beginner motorcycle, and that's the market they're targeting, there are more usages for this motorcycle. So let's actually talk about who is this bike for? Well, it is a great bike for beginners because it has a non-intimidating 110cc engine, but it's also an automatic transmission, which makes the daunting task of gear shifting through the cities for the newbie rider a non-issue. And with its whopping 8 horsepower, which just so happens to be 206 horsepower short of the all-new Honda Fireblade, it's still enough power for you to put your poodle in a backpack and cruise the city streets for groceries, coffee, and even dog grooming services. It's also the perfect bike for beach goers to bounce from one beach to the next, back and forth to the pub and to their favorite local legalized dispensary. Although I don't condone riding anything while under the influence, so please don't do that. Just because it's a small bike doesn't mean you can't die on it if you're dumb. It's also a great motorcycle to coax your non-riding family members, significant others, or younger children into learning how to ride a motorcycle, making it fun for the whole family. It's the perfect motorcycle to say, "Honey, I bought it for you to learn how to ride," knowing damn well you bought it for yourself. It would make a great pit bike for the club racing superstars, so you don't have to walk back and forth to the tire changing station. And with its cheap $1,800 price tag, if you wreck it, you'll probably just throw it away. It's cheap enough that your significant other will not make you sleep on the couch for buying it, and if it's stolen, you probably won't even phone it into your insurance company. Okay, those are all jokes, by the way. The Honda Navi gets over 100 miles a gallon, so you could ride across the United States of America for about $18, although it would probably take you 18 years to do that at the top speed of about 45. Now, speaking of traveling, you probably could stuff this in the overhead bin of an airplane if they would let you. All jokes aside, the Honda Navi is an awesome little bike and probably another big win for Honda. You can already see it will have its own subculture, much like the Grom, and there'll be plenty of aftermarket gadgets to personalize this motorcycle. I didn't go through the specs of this video because there's enough of those out there on the internets right now that will cover all of that. But the Navi has some very cool features, like cool futuristic looks, trendy paint schemes like nut brown and grasshopper green, and this cool little storage compartment box. Although don't put your poodle in the storage box, please. For those of you out there seeking the fly-by-the-seat of your pants rocket ship horsepower of a larger motorcycle, then step up to the 11 horsepower Grom. But for those of you out there on a tight budget, a full-time off-grid camper, maybe looking for some cheap transportation, or just anyone that's looking for an excuse to drop $1,800 on something, then get out there and buy yourself a Honda Navi. You see, the Honda Navi is affordable, fun, and it's cool. So it is the perfect plug-and-play motorcycle.